trying to watch my morning YouTube for about 10 minutes, and every time I turn my head and don't look at you, you start whimpering. So I figured, let's just turn the camera on him, give him all the attention that he seems to want before he goes off and plays today. Are you happy now? Look at that face. Guilty. Well, good morning, my friends. The plan for today is to take Joff for a little bit of a walk, and then we're gonna head over, drop him off at Pollyanna's. He's gonna play over there all day, and I'm gonna go do a hike at Runyon Canyon. I actually did one on Sunday with John, Skylar, and the boys, and it reminded me how much I liked it, so I'm gonna go again today. Then we will go do a vlog downtown. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Well, he just ran into another puppy, so he's happy. Good way to start the day for Jaw. Well, we're over here dropping him off, and then we're gonna go for a hike, and it looks like Bree's gonna go with us. What did you get?
You see that? He's like ready to work.
You got a little bone to chew on? I've always been curious what this is all about, these little buffaloes here. All right, we're starting the Runyon Canyon hike. I haven't done this in a while, and look who's here.
Hi!
And there's the tennis courts that Errol Flynn used to play on. And we're working our way up to the steps part. All right, we made it to Tier 1. And honestly, it's crazy, but I actually feel like that was the hardest part. Because that's just the warm-up, and then once you get going, you don't really even feel it. A little push-up action here. Not quite as easy as it used to be. Whew. We'll get there. So if you guys haven't seen my vlog on Outpost yet, the old Outpost sign, here it is. Go to my channel and look up the old Hollywood Outpost sign. That's one of the letters, and there's some of the bracketing. I get the locks. I kind of understand the flowers. I don't get the shoes. That's a new one. Adidas. So there's more of the wreckage of the sign. It's all over this side. We made it. Had no doubt. I'm using my newer camera today, guys, so if you were wondering, because it looked maybe a little different or something, this is the G7X today. Actually, it wasn't as hard as I figured it would be. I thought all my time away it would be a lot harder. When we came on Sunday, there was like literally no sun at all, so it was like a piece of cake, but no problem today. Now we're actually going a little bit further on the trail. I used to do this, and since I've been vlogging, I haven't went up this far, but Bree wanted to come, so I was like, good idea. But this used to be the start of another estate, and there's actually, as you take this trail up, even though it's a hiking trail that everybody takes, there are actually a couple of houses off to the side, so they have to drive down this to get home. Look at that. Iron Woman. So Bree was just telling me like that she thought that this estate that we just walked past, she said, I think that guy trains birds because I've seen him out there like summoning birds, and then we get up here right by the gate, and if you look at the very top of the gate, it's two birds facing each other, so she's definitely right on. So as we're walking up here, there's a Airstream over here, and Bree said that it's actually a Airbnb, which I didn't know. Pretty cool. And this is the house, one of the houses. So yeah, like I said, this is all still, we're still on the trail. Well, they're living the good life, that's for sure. Look at that. Tennis court, pool. Well, we made it to the end of the gate, and that's actually Mulholland up there. but we're gonna keep going and take this little trail a little further up. Hey Bree, why don't you tell everybody who we literally just passed hiking wearing a Cincinnati Reds t-shirt?
The director of my favorite movie, Reservoir Dogs.
That's right. We just walked past Tarantino. I looked up, saw his shirt, and I go, oh, Cincinnati Reds, man, and showed him my tattoo. And we're still going, we're still going. I think we're working our way up there.
I want a part of the fun.
Oh, we made it. There actually used to be a little like geocache up here. I think it's down over there though. Oh, look at that. We're right underneath this, yeah, don't climb on it, but that is awesome. We are almost to the bottom. We decided to take the long winding way down. All right, we stopped in for some coffee. All in. All right, gang, I'm back from the hike. That was 2 celebrity sightings today. I didn't even tell you about the first one. Actually, as I was driving over to park my car and meet up with Bree, when I was just a few blocks away from Runyon Canyon, I saw Kevin Smith out walking his dog, and he looks just like Silent Bob when you see him out in public. I mean, that's not like a clever costume or anything. It was backwards hat, sunglasses, I think it was a hockey jersey, and he had a little dog, like, different color, but he was like the same size as Jaw. So I saw him walking, and then Bree and I started hiking. We got up to the top, and sure enough, we come upon this guy, and I go, hey man, nice shirt, and I show him my tattoo, and then I look at his face, and I'm like, oh dude, of course, it was Quentin Tarantino. And so if you're ever looking for somehow to meet celebrities while you're here in Los Angeles, go for a hike up Runyon Canyon. You can probably meet 2 really great directors, because I sure did. Oh, Jeffrey, you missed out not going on that hike. You could have been discovered, my friend. All right, I'm gonna get cleaned up, change my clothes, get a little washed up here, put some more deodorant on, and I am going to head downtown because I was recently watching one of my favorite 80s TV shows, and I got to thinking, hey, where's that apartment at? They had a couple of different apartments in different seasons. I looked it up, and one of them's right here in downtown Los Angeles, so let's go. All right, once again, we're downtown for our vlog today. This is one of my favorite 80s shows of all time. Louder space. Well, even though this is supposed to act as Chicago, the first 2 seasons of Perfect Strangers, the apartment building that Larry Appleton and Balky Bartokomous live in, was actually here in downtown Los Angeles. Now this was really your classic buddy type TV show. And you know, I was watching it recently, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago for the first time in a long time. And I'm watching it and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, how did they cast Larry? I mean, no offense to Mark Lynn Baker, but I'm just watching it and I'm going, this guy's not real good looking, not real charismatic, just not the kind of person you would expect to be cast as a lead in this show. And then I start looking into his history and find out this guy was like a Yale trained actor, and now he's I believe he directs commercials and television and produces movies. But he was actually, as I watched just the pilot episode, you start to realize how important he really was to the equation, because this show actually started out being a vehicle for Bronson Pinchot. He had been in Beverly Hills Cop, and he had been that gallery owner and just almost pretty much had overnight success with that character. And so immediately everybody was knocking down his door wanting to create a television show for him, and Perfect Strangers became that show. Now believe it or not, those first 2 seasons, their apartment building was right here. It looks way different now because they've actually removed an entire 3 floors off the top of this building. This used to be St. Rita Hotel, and And right here on the corner, right there in the center, that would have been where you saw that Ritz sign, and that's where Larry and Balky actually worked. That was where Mr. Twinkassetti's electronics shop was, which was, it's kind of bizarre if you watch the show now, because it's not quite an electronics shop. They sell a little bit of everything. New things, used things. It's almost like, more like a pawn shop. But basically the setup for this television show is that Larry is moving out of Wisconsin on his own, getting his own apartment, and then his very distant cousin Balky from Mypos, Greece, comes to his house, well, goes to his parents' house, finds out where Larry lives, and then just shows up on Larry's front door, and they end up becoming roommates. And basically, Larry's job throughout this show is to teach Balky the American way of life, and Balky just completely overindulges in it, and that was pretty much the genius to the show. Now, if you're wondering, did Mark Lynn-Baker and Bronson Pinchot actually get along? They actually really did. They became very quick friends and lifelong friends. They're still friends to this day, and they both have said that working together, it was almost like a classic vaudeville team. They got to know each other's comedy and the style and their movements so well that if they did any kind of look-aways or look-back moves, they were almost always in perfect sync time. Now, whenever you would see this on the television show, they would always show it from the angle I just showed you, and where they worked was literally right here, but then the camera would pan up here 2 floors up, so it would actually be on the 3rd floor, and there would be a little stairwell right here that I'll superimpose in, and their apartment would have been right up in here. And this was a show that, I mean, it was so great. I mean, if you remember their dance of joy that they would always do, where they would do the kicking out to the side and jumping up and down, and then it would finally end with Larry jumping into Balky's arms. Now, one of the great things about this show was also, if you remember, this show actually lasted like 6 or 7 seasons. I forget exactly how many, but the first 2 seasons they worked here for Mr. Twinkassetti, and then eventually they both end up going on to getting jobs at the newspaper, where they would become journalists, and you would see them all those years working with the lady who would eventually become the wife on Family Matters. She would be working the elevator. And then the last season they actually end up marrying their girlfriends. And Jennifer, if you remember, who was Larry's girlfriend, her father was actually the Charmin man, the Don't Squeeze the Charmin guy. And then basically the show, the season's end, they did say that they were let know at the end of their second to last season that the following season would be the end, so they actually got to finish up the storyline and everything, and the storyline ends with Balky and Larry both having kids and now becoming fathers. And Bronson Pinchot after this actually went on to be in another show where he kind of plays he plays like an alien au pair. And if you remember the kid from Jerry Maguire, Jonathan Lipnicki, he was in that show, and there was actually an accident on set, which is kind of why you don't see a lot of Bronson Pinchot. Bronson Pinchot, they would attach cables to him almost like Peter Pan, and they would lift him out for some of the scenes on this show. And one of the days, luckily they always had everyone that was going to be lifted up harnessed the way you would have to. Bronson Pinchot was being lifted up, and he was holding Jonathan Lipnicki, and all of a sudden one of Bronson Pinchot's cables snapped, and so he let go of Jonathan Lipnicki, who then was kind of floating on his own cables, and then the other cable snapped and Bronson Pinchot fell to the ground and actually had to have a pretty massive back surgery. Now, I actually haven't seen the new season of Stranger Things, but I've been told that there's actually a little cameo by Larry and Balky in one of the episodes in the new season, so that was pretty cool. And like I said, they're great friends to this day. I'm sure if Netflix or somebody like that ever was going to think about bringing the show back, they might be willing to do it. And kind of one of the great powers of circumstances that Bronson Pinchot said in many interviews, that character that he portrayed in Beverly Hills Cop, that was totally off the cuff. He really just improvised that whole thing, and it became a hit. And that actually spawned basically what would be the biggest part of his career. That he would get his own show based off that character almost overnight. And it's kind of weird to see that an entire level of this whole place is gone now. I saw an interview with Mark Lynn Baker and he mentioned something in there, so I actually went and watched a few episodes, and he was totally right. He said their timing, Bronson and his timing, was so spot on. Most times they would almost consider themselves like Siamese twins. And he said if you watch any of those scenes where they will either do a look away and then look back at each other and hold that look, they almost always look away and turn back at the same exact moment. Their timing was that spot on. And that's probably why the show was such a success. Great comedy teams produce just magical moments. Just in case anybody decides to steal these cinder blocks. Check out the signage up there on the building. They actually have the name written out in luggage, and then all those pieces of luggage are like nailed or hung up there in some way. See what I mean? So there you go. I just exposed a little bit of television trickery. It wasn't Chicago, it was actually Los Angeles. But the apartment building that they eventually move into, that you'll see in the later episodes, that actually is in Chicago. I'm always amazed at how they have changed mannequins over the years, and look, this one's like almost like a disco ball. Check out the look of this building. Isn't that awesome? It's supposed to be a tree going up the middle and then all those pets crawling around it. Shelley's second book on audio cassette. I knew I had it, I just thought I lost it. Well, good night, my friends. I'm gonna call it a night, and I made an alteration to my upcoming trip, and I am going to get to do something that I have wanted to do for a very long time, and it might very well turn out to be the best vlog that I ever get to do. So I'm pretty excited. I don't want to tell you any more about it. I'm gonna keep it a secret. But I just started looking around. I found something, and I was like, I have to. I just have to do it. So you'll be along to experience it with me. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a night. I wanted to thank Denise Marshall for becoming my newest Patreon, and Debbie Moeller for making a donation to my channel, and everyone else, thank you for watching. I don't know what we'll do tomorrow, but I promise it'll be worth your time. So come back and see me tomorrow. Jaw's not home yet, but I'm 50% sure he'll be home tonight. I'm usually 100% sure, but you never know. So I'll say I'm 50% sure he's coming home tonight, so hopefully you guys will get to see him in the morning. Goodbye.